Welcome to Loan Officer Success Live, sponsored by Premier Lending, the show where the mortgage industry's top players pull back the curtain. Your host, Devin Dubuque, sits down with industry leaders, top producers, and game-changing mortgage tech innovators, all sharing their unfiltered strategies, bold ideas, and proven secrets for success. Get ready to take notes, think bigger, and play to win, because this is Loan Officer Success Live. Proven secrets for success is right today because we've got rock star Kristin Jamieson here on the podcast. And man, I am super excited to tell the tale. Welcome to the show, Kristin.
Thanks for having me, Devin.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So where are you hailing from today?
I am in Claremont, Florida, about 25 miles west of Orlando.
Very cool. I get out there from time to time. We'll have to catch up next time I'm out there in your neck of the woods. Yeah, I'd love that too. And what's crazy is, I found out recently, we share a home state in common because I'm from Kansas originally. Where are you from originally?
Overland Park, Kansas.
There it is. One of the coolest places on the planet. I'm telling you, I love Kansas City. Love the barbecue, love the people. And man, I'll tell you, I think just there's some prodigies that come out of that state because we're hardworking individuals out there in Kansas, right?
Hardworking, educated. I believe the education system in Kansas, having my children in a public education system in Florida versus the public education system in Kansas I grew up with are night and day. Yeah. And I get people that talk to me. We talk to people from all over the world, right? Especially in Florida, it's a melting pot. Yeah. But I have more people tell me, they're like, I can tell you're from the Midwest because of how well spoken you are.
Amen. I love that. I absolutely love that. And I should have caught on to that earlier. But when you said it was like, oh, ding, 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 makes so much sense. So how'd you get let's start with this. So you're from Kansas. How'd you get into the industry? How'd you get to mortgage in the first place?
Well, if we're going way back to
let's go back
18 years old. So I worked at Outback Steakhouse while I was going to college.
Okay.
And my sister at the time, was 21. I wasn't. But after work, everybody would go over to Applebee's to have a drink, right? You worked in the restaurant industry. You had a drink.
I'm familiar.
And anyways, whether I was 21 or not, regardless, I was sitting at a bar at Applebee's. And this lady was she was just like, man, she's like, I really think you would be a great mortgage loan processor. And I was like, what's a mortgage? And she's like, what? My parents had never owned a house. I owned my first house before my parents ever owned a house. So I was like, what's a mortgage? And she's like, right. Okay. She's like, I can teach anybody about mortgages, but it's how you get money to buy a house. She's like, something about you just tells me you would be a great processor. Why don't you come in and interview? And at this point, I was going to college. Yeah. Working it out, but thinking I was doing pretty good. It wasn't bad. I wasn't doing anything wrong, but I went ahead and went and ended up started working as a processor. Okay. So that's how I initially got into the industry. And
young, right? You kickstarted as a processor in the industry. So you're going from restaurant to processing, which are both very high-paced, customer service-oriented businesses, right? If you're doing them right. So we jump over into that space, and how'd that go, right? Learning to process loans from the ground up. Did you start somewhere before jumping in, or were you just, here's some files, let's go?
Well, obviously they had a lady there that was kind of trained me, but you got to think, so 18, this is back in 2001. So 24 years ago. And I'm not that old, but that is really how long ago that was. So this is, working with paper files and no doc imaging. I remember having to even pull out the typewriter and typing investing on deeds and mortgages, on typewriters in 2001.
That's crazy. That's because you were in Kansas. I'm sorry. I'm from, because I was in Texas by then, and I was typing in computers when I started in the business. But go ahead. So you're typing up vesting on.
We had computers, but in the same sense. So, and I was great. I was actually kind of lucky. So the company that I first started with, they were a broker shop, and the processors actually did the processing and closings in Doc Magic.
Yep. So, remember that program well.
I was able to see both sides of that process, right? It wasn't just this is how you get a loan to close. It was what happens in closing. And then obviously your post-closing issues, your funding issues, your servicing issues, all of those things.
Yep. Everything that goes into really getting the loans closed.
Correct. Super, super well-rounded in the industry. And I stayed in processing and eventually moved into underwriting for 13 years.
Very cool.
Before I decided, well, really it took me doing a loan officer a loan officer that was an employee of the company that I worked for.
Okay.
To see how much loan officers actually could make. And he was one of the better ones, right? Yeah. Like, I'm not saying he was average or like, he was definitely top tier.
Yeah, top of the game.
And so I looked at my salary at $37,500 versus I think at this time he was probably making 190, 200,000 or something.
Yeah. But I mean, you got to date back to that's good money at that point in time, right? Like it's, yeah.
And
still good money for a lot of people today. I would have clarified that, right? I'm not saying 200,000, but yeah, but you know, when you get to a certain level in your life, right? You know, that it's not as good as it once was, right?
Right. And mo money, more problems. Like it is what it is. I mean, fight me on that one all you want. Like mo money, mo problems. So I didn't understand why I did all the work and he made all the money and he wasn't any smarter than I was. Actually, I'd go toe to toe to him in any sort of conversation and probably annihilate him to this day. So not saying I'm better, we're just different.
Yeah.
And so that was the starting point of, okay, if he can do this, I can do this, right?
That's it.
So the company I was working for, I got an email for the processor that used to be there. And it was a Mortgage Marketing Animals email inviting me to a boot camp in Tampa, Florida. And I had just moved to Central Florida area, like legit just October. And I think the event I went to was in January.
Got it.
And so I went to that event and I met pretty
Clearwater
amazing.
Beach.
Yeah, Clearwater Beach. Yep. And this was like at the beginning studios, right? Where we were whiteboarding in one big room, not in hotels with 300 people or anything like that. Like the real deal, what I feel when I think of the Mortgage Marketing Animals.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense.
And so I went there and I wasn't an originator yet. I was still processing. But I knew I needed a job. So I'm like, if I'm going to find a job, because the guys I worked for, they wouldn't let me be an originator. They told me over and over again how processors make terrible originators, that I would struggle to make what I was making.
You're an
and my children might suffer because of my decisions.
Yeah.
You throw kids into mama's face, it's not going to end well for you, I promise. I will work at McDonald's pushing carts before my children don't have food to eat.
That's it.
So I was lucky enough to sit across from one of our colleagues, Scott Hudspeth, at that event. And kind of we connected, at least I thought we did, until he didn't call me back.
Oh, no. And you're talking about Scotty. We know Scotty calls everybody. So
she was just a little peon processor, though. But he eventually did call me back. And when he did call, or actually, I think I got through to him because I don't stop.
Yeah.
I think the first thing I said to him was like, call me maybe. And he's like, ah, ha, ha. So I did get invited to a seat at the table with the company that he worked for at the time. And I truly believe I was a sympathy hire as far as an originator is concerned, because they're like, if she doesn't succeed, then we'll just make her a processor.
Yeah, we'll just throw her over here. Yeah. Let her fail. Hey, we're just gonna throw her to the wolves and let this girl fail. And if she fails, which we know she will, and she's already a great processor, so we just picked up a great processor, right? Yeah. Okay. How'd that work out for him?
It did. And I was the number 10 loan officer in their company that year. Woo, my first year in the business, I was the number 10 loan officer for that company.
Yeah.
Well, never originated a mortgage in my life.
Yeah. Well, I know you, so it's no surprise to me that you did that. And, it kind of goes back to, don't put anything in front of me and my kids, because my kids are always going to eat, and I'm going to do what it takes. And I love that mentality, right? So you take this, and again, guys, when I say S&C, we're talking about the disc profile. And a lot of the times when we look at what typically typically makes up a great processor versus a great loan officer. It's if you're an SRC, which means you're very organized, right? And you like to follow structure. You're typically not great at the loan officer role, but when you are high D and high, you're great at interactions. You're very decisive. You make quick decisions. But Kristin is on the right side of that scale. She's the S and the C, but at the same time, she's a bulldog. So you're not gonna.
I'm a mama. I'm not a bulldog.
She's a mama bear. Yeah, I love it. I love it. So you get in and you say, "We're not taking no for an answer. We're gonna kill it at this market. Drop in number 10 spot."
Well, and I didn't know how to market. I had never taken a sale. I mean, honestly, if you look at my resume and what I did in college, I went to nursing school.
Okay.
So restaurants, loan processor, nursing school, no sales,
perfect loan officer formula.
No, nothing. Like,
right.
So, but I have a brain. So I really sat down because at this point I wasn't processing files all day, every day. I'm like, I've got some hours. I had to look at what my community needed or what I felt I could bring and help my community that would get me in front of enough people. But I was also looking for friends as well. And so one thing I noticed was we had went through several years of, reverse mortgages having a terrible stigma. Right. They weren't as protected as they are now. And so I can understand how they got a little bit of the stigma that they got. But there was such a stigma around reverse mortgages. And I had processed reverse mortgages and reverse mortgage purchase. So
you understood.
I knew about them.
Yeah.
But I noticed there were no loan officers in my area that were marketing or talking about them.
Yeah. So, and let's talk about that area real quick, because you're outside of Orlando. And last time that I looked, some of the largest adult living communities, right, for seniors in the world are right there in your backyard, right?
So, if you go to the villages, yes, you're going to find a loan officer in the villages that's bought and paid for by the villages that does reverse mortgages.
Right.
But the villages isn't the only 55 plus community. There are several. And almost 60% of the population of the county that I live in is 62 or older. So I saw a need. I saw an avenue as far as I knew I could speak of them. I knew I could make myself the expert in them. Yeah. And I also found a low touch way of getting in front of a lot of agents for very little money.
Nobody wants to know that secret.
Well, that's a secret. And I'm probably going to ruffle some feathers with this one. But how could I get in front of a bunch of agents for very little money? And I solved that problem by finding the big real estate companies of the world in my area. The Keller Williams, the Watsons, the EXP. The EXPs I don't think was there. Maybe LPT. I don't remember all of them at the time. But the ones that had in-house loan officers and a bunch of agents.
Okay.
Instead of going to the agents, because everybody goes to the agents, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And then what do they tell them? I have an in-house loan officer. I can't talk to you.
I just went to the loan officer and said,
but why would you go to the loan officer?
Well, because I knew that they weren't marketing reverse purchases, nor did most companies at that time do reverses. But they were heavy in purchase business, right? Because they're in the real estate office. Yeah. And I know every loan officer is racking their brain all day, every day of how can we provide more value to our realtor referral partners? Yeah. How can we educate them, keep top of mind, be in front of them, all that kind of stuff. So at that point in time, I could go in as a reverse mortgage loan officer, something they didn't provide. Yeah. They knew nothing about.
They didn't want to know about it.
They didn't want to know about it. And I was able to provide value to their agents with them sitting right next to me.
Trojan horse. Like they just wheeled you right into the room. And out comes the army and you just take over. And all of a sudden, because of your relentlessness and your attention to detail and how focused you are, when they started doing transactions with you, you won them all over.
Correct. Well, so, obviously it takes a little bit of time to build rapport and that
no question.
But so at the end of every presentation, I did learn from the marketing animals that you always have a realtor scorecard. You always have something tangible that you have your audience fill out that you can take with you.
That's right.
So one, you know how to follow up, and two, you know what they think they need.
Yeah.
So we can come again with more value. So I knew that if I could continue to provide value, I was still showing myself at that point as Kristin Jamieson with First Financial Reverse. If people start to know you, like you, and trust you, they're going to find out what you do.
Yeah.
And so at that point, it was those conversations. They're like, Kristin, I really like you, but it seems like, my older adult clients, they have cash or their kids or whatever. Like, but we really want to work with you. Like, do you do regular mortgages too? Well, actually, here's Kristin Jamieson's forward mortgage business card. And yes, I do.
I love it. So what you did was you gained their trust, you gained their like, you built a relationship. And we talk about this all the time, right? Like this is a relationship business. And ultimately, you did the Trojan horse. You came in with something that nobody was thinking about and you introduced yourself as that person, but then they liked you so much, they wanted to know what else you had to offer. Right. And it's kind of like, I'm at McDonald's, which I'm not because I don't go there or eat there. But at the end of the day, and it's like, hey, do you want some fries with that shake? Right. Little did you know the fries were the burger. Like that was actually the main meal. And they just didn't know it yet. They didn't know it. And I love that. I love that you found a niche because, again, I think that's a lot of the problem that, originators have in today's world is how do I approach the agent? What is my selling proposition? And what you did is you created a proposition, but more importantly, you didn't lead in with, I want your business. You led in with, hey, when you know somebody that needs this, I'm available to you. And then you build a damn relationship. Like you actually just build a relationship. When the relationship comes first and people like you and they know you and they trust you, that's where the
money's
business starts to follow.
It will always follow.
That's it. So now we know how you got the business. So now let's flash forward to today because now you have a team, but you didn't always have a team. So how did you get to that point where A, you needed additional support staff and then B, you could afford to pay it, right? Because we know it costs money to bring people on.
Well, so yeah, of course it amplified super fast for me. So in that first year, I think because I started March, I don't think my first loan closed until like May or June. But within 3 months after that, I was closing 16 to 20 loans a month. Like it amplified ridiculously stupid fast.
Wow. What year is this?
2013.
2013. And that's by the way, if you don't know, 2013 is an interesting year because we just came out from 2008, 2009. Nobody knew how to lend for quite some time. 2012, 2013 is where we started to get some comfort level of, we can actually lend. We know how to lend. But it was still a tricky year for a lot of people because there were a lot of people that gotten out of the industry. Some people were coming back into the industry. And you're having a banner year in 2013. Mm-hmm. Killer. I love it.
Well, but we still had some affordability, right? So it made it a little bit easier. Like we can compare then to now all we want, and it's apples to oranges, the markets that we're in. Yes, it was difficult. But the coolest thing was having the background that I had, I knew what loans would work and what loans wouldn't work. And we didn't have to reduce all LTVs by 5% anymore at that time. Right. So like, you didn't need that much, or you didn't need as much money, right? And we're all coming off of, nobody really had money during that time because of the great financial crisis that we were coming off of. I also live in a county at the time where my entire county was USDA eligible. I mean, unfair advantage probably, but it is what it is. And I mean, I took full advantage of that. So we had affordability, rates were in the 4s. And then I had any loan almost I could do 100% financing.
What?
Oh.
Yeah, sorry about that. I've been having some connectivity issues over here. This is the second time this has happened to me today, so sorry to leave it hanging. But I want to talk about this too because your background was processing. So I don't want people to forget that, right? So the background's processing. So what you know is what more than there's a lot of listeners that don't get to know their products. They just don't. They should. They should know them. They should know them inside and out. They should understand how to explain them and how to sell them, right?
Absolutely.
you did the cheat code, you worked it backwards, you learned on the backside of how to put a loan together and how to put together an airtight loan that's going to flow and process and get to the finish line with no problems. So now when the market shifts and USDA is a product that a lot of loan officers, I can tell you this from experience, because I've been in branch management, leadership management for years. They don't want to get to know because it scares them. It's different than their standard loan transactions.
It's a conventional loan with FHA appraisal requirements. And until I can beat
Amen.
that into every loan officer's head, I don't know what to do.
You and I are on the same page. I'm a product guy. I've always been a product guy. It's what I was known for in the industry. And at the end of the day, understanding USDA, it was literally just why don't you just pick up the guidelines and read them? And get to know it, because when you could offer somebody 100% financing loan that doesn't have a monthly MI, I mean, it's there, but it's not there, right? It's pennies exactly. And there's a guarantee fee up front, but there is on the FHA and the USDA as well. But it's 100% loan, right? That you can get clients qualified for with no money out of pocket. You're offering something that people need.
You get into a house cheaper than renting.
Amen. And now you've got a product that people actually need, and you took the time to understand it. So you're killing it in the market while other people are not, because you understood, right? It wasn't just the cheat code. The fact was you took the time to get to know it. And that could have come from partially having that processing background, right? Which is why I think your team works so well together, because you know what goes into contracted close better than most loan officers ever will. Yeah. So 2013, you start doing well.
My knowledge there too. So not only was I have that little strategy with the reverses,
right?
I went to banks and credit unions because we opened our guidelines up much quicker than the banks and the credit unions did. Whether we want to believe it or not, banks have always had portfolio loans. Yes, I'm not talking about portfolio loans.
Right.
We opened up the agency guidelines on the banker broker level well before the banks did.
Yeah.
So not only did I become friends with loan officers at the real estate companies, I became friends with all the loan officers at my local banks and credit unions.
So how would you do that? They do loans.
Oh, I just walked in and asked.
Yeah. What was the question? What did you ask them?
Well, it was, what is your minimum credit score requirement for an FHA loan? Most of them at that time were 640, as to where we had opened up back down to 580. Yeah. And it was, okay, so what do you do when somebody comes in and you pull that credit score and you see it's a 590, 600, what do you do with them? And they're like, well, we just tell them we can't help them. And I said, so do you want them to go to Bank of America right next door and see if Bank of America can do it, and then potentially risk losing all of your depository accounts with that client? And they're like, no, we don't want to do that. Well, I have a solution for you, because I only do mortgages. I have the ability to lend down to this on this program and this on this program. And you can speak loan officer, speak to other loan officers.
Absolutely.
So I could speak in the language. Yeah. And I said, but you don't risk losing anything else that client has. No CDs, no checking, savings, investment. You don't lose anything by referring them to me. Yeah.
So, the other thing that you did, which is super smart, is you painted the picture of pain. Right? You literally made it. And I see things in pictures. And what you did is when you told them that story, they could literally see the customer frustrated, walking out of their office across the street to Bank of America and sitting down and getting an approval. Granted, Bank of America probably couldn't have done the loan anyways, but what a great pitch, right? And then going, you know what? Why am I banking over here when I could just move my stuff and just have it all in one place, right? And they're going, well, we don't want that. Right.
Well, Bank of America is also
now you made them want you, right?
If you open your checking account with us, we'll give you an 8.25% off your interest rate.
That's it.
So, I mean, there was a financial incentive as well for them to move all of those accounts.
Yeah. Well, it makes so much sense. And what you're doing is you're showing them the pain, and then you're giving them an alternative option, because you don't own a depository bank. So that's not going to happen. You're just going to help their customer. And then you'll probably tell the customer, hey, by the way, great choice with that credit union. Those guys are awesome over there. Love that team. Right. So you're just giving them more business, right? Which I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. So now we figured out how to infiltrate the real estate agents by using their own loan officer to get your foot in the door and build a community of agents that want to work with you, not on a product that you brought to the table. In fact, I know this, but the rest of the folks don't know this yet. You've never done a reverse mortgage. Not that you don't know how, you just haven't done one because the need has never come up. And then you introduce USDA to the market when it's needed because you understood it. You knew how to use it. You knew how to sell it. And now all of a sudden we're transitioning and shifting over to credit unions in a time where there were a lot of customers that were coming in pain point of my credit has dropped because the last several years have been a very difficult year. And we don't want these credit unions to lose out on opportunities. So I'm going to go in there and convince these credit unions that they should do business with you, which they should, right? Which is brilliant. So you don't, here's the deal. You don't wait for the market. You create the market. You create the market. That's what you've done. You've done it 3 different times now, right? Just in this one conversation, talking back through your past, 3 different times you've created your own market. And again, guys, if you're wondering, like, how do you have success in any market? You find a need, you confirm that you have a niche that can cover that need, and then you go out and you promote it the right way. And if you don't know how to do that, you might want to call Kristin, because I'm pretty sure she's going to be able to show you how you can actually promote that to do something successful. So let's flash forward back to now we're building a team, right? So you've got volume, you've got business. And this is where I think a lot of loan officers have trouble is they get busy and they go, oh, I can't do more because it's just me and I can't trust anybody because they're not going to do it as good as me. Right. So how did you get past that? Because I know your standards are very high, right? Very. Yeah. Which is great for the consumer because they deserve that, and the agent because they deserve that. But talk about that.
Well, so, I mean, I do believe that loan officers have a huge place in the loan process. I think the loan officers need to be doing their own pre-approvals, their own refinance strategies. When contracts come in, I think they need to be re-looking at the loan to make sure that they still work. We need to be the one calculating income, little things like that. And I mean, call me crazy. It is what it is. I mean, that's how I've run my business. So yeah, I do believe that a loan officer has way more need in the transaction. But when you realize that everybody else can do everything else. So like my Nikki is my loan partner. She's also my sister. So you'll probably hear me refer to her interchangeably as my sister and Nikki. But so like Nikki, so she helps me with all of like the online applications or getting the start of the applications and getting the documents in. So I always tell people it's like she's basically getting everything set up on the tee for me, scheduling a strategy call with the client so I can come in with a baseball bat, take my 3 swings, and then get the F out again. Amen. So it's one, I mean, obviously I trained all of my people. I didn't that's a novel concept. My corporate office training my processor. Yeah. I trained my processor. Now, did they help me with, this is where Encompass forms are, and this is how, whatever, this is where our evidence of insurance request for, like, way above my pay grade. But I taught my processor how to process. I taught my loan partner what I expected in a loan partner. And also for the first 8 years in my business, I sat in one big room with all of my employees. I did not sit behind a closed door doing my work. I wanted them to hear every phone call that I was on. Yeah. I mean, the girls that work for me what's your interest rate? I'm sorry, Mr. Barber. The only interest rate that matters is the day you're under contract and ready to lock in. Do you have a contract on a home? No. Great. Okay. So when you do, let's talk. But until then, where do you want your payment to be? Like, let's work the math backwards. So we're really focusing on payment because payment and cash to close is what you're worried about, not interest rate. Yeah. And so having my team hear me say those things over and over again, it ingrained it into them so that I didn't have to have those conversations anymore. They would call and like, I want to know what the interest rate is. My sister's licensed. I do believe all loan partners need to be licensed. We need to have somebody else that can talk about interest rates other than yourself. But she can jump on the phone and be like, I need to talk to Kristin about rates. Well, Mr. Borrower, the only interest rate that matters is the day you're under contract and ready to lock in. Are you under contract? No. Okay, great. Well, I know Kristin's really going to want to talk to you about payment. Yeah. Yeah. I love it. It's funny. You and I have a lot in common. My previous business that I built, I literally sat on the floor with
I think there were 20 or 30 loan officers around me, even though it was my branch, right? And I did that specifically, A, because I wanted to make sure that people knew that I was approachable, but B, because of exactly what you just said, right? When they hear it consistently over time and they go, okay, well, that I got to start using that. That's really good, right? Like that's really good. And, this is how you get to train people, because effectively they're hearing you do it, they're seeing you do it, and they're around the action all the time. But the other thing that it does is it helps set the standard, because they see the standards that you have. And when you pick the right people, they want to work on that level with you, right? Like they want to set that standard alongside you.
Well, and as your volume grows and your team grows, I mean, do I really want to start over training somebody from the beginning every time? No. But if they're sitting in a room with everybody and they hear Nikki ask me a question about something, everybody else hears the answer too. So even if it wasn't them who asked the question, they're getting the information. I'm not saying it won't fully resonate with them and I might not ever hear the question again, but rarely do I ever get the same question twice. Yeah. And then they also got to hear that if they ever came to me with a problem, my first response was, so what's your solution? Yeah. And if they didn't have a solution, okay, well, come back to me when you have a solution. They're like, well, that's kind of your job. No. Don't come to me with a problem. Come to me with a solution. And then I'll tell you that I like your solution because it's 80% as good as anything I'd come up with. And then I'll tell you to do that. And then when that doesn't work, then maybe we'll reconvene, but it's going to work. It always does.
Empower your people. Empower your people. Let them make the decision, because 90% of the times people know the right answer, but they want verification. And that's what you're going to give. You're going to give them the verification that they're making the right decision. And that's how you create a great leadership, right? Is that ultimately you let them make the decision, you trust their decision, and then they trust in you because you believe in them. And that's so huge. It's so powerful. Some of the other things you talk about, you and I've had this conversation before. A lot of the stuff that you talk about is straight out of the book Traction, right? And you've got to have somebody that's a visionary. And that's you, Kristin, right? You understand what you want, what you're looking for, and then you have to have integrators. And those are the people that actually go out and put that stuff to work for you, right? And so effectively, you defined your process, okay? And what you did is you said, this is how we do business here, period. You made sure that everybody knows how we do business here because you had them sitting around you listening to how we do business here, right? And that's
the fastest way to get fired in my office is to tell me that you did something different at a different company. I give no sense whatsoever what you did anywhere else.
Yeah. Well, because it's the Jamieson team way, right? Like you have to do that. You have to establish what the way is, and everybody has to follow that. They have to follow it, because if they do, you have inconsistency and the customer experience is not going to be the same. Exactly. That's it. 100%. So, and you've defined it. You've defined what your vision is. People understand it. They know what it is. And if it's clear, then a business can run very successfully. And that's exactly what you're doing.
Well, and like you said, it creates the best experience, a referable experience. And then also, I mean, I'm somebody that the industry looks up to. I mean, I'm doing something right.
Yeah. Oh, there's no doubt about that. There's no doubt. I mean, like I told you before, your name precedes yourself because, we were involved in a lot of the same circles, but I'd never met you before, but I knew who you were. Right. And why did I know who you were? Well, because other people are talking about you. And let me tell you something. Sometimes when people are talking about you, that's not a good thing. In your case, that's a great thing, right? So, well, I know you have places to be. And at the end of the day, we could probably talk all day and people would probably love to hear what comes out because there's some fire there. But what have we not tackled today?
Well, so one thing is the self-fulfilling prophecy. I think you kind of what I call the self-fulfilling prophecy. You kind of touched on it a little bit at the beginning of, the loan officer that has to do everything. Only I can do it. I'm the best. I can only do it. Well, that's self-fulfilling. And quite frankly, if we want a more normal term, highly narcissistic way of thinking.
It is.
So get out of your own way, empower people, and watch your life change for the better.
Well, what you're describing is the person that never gets past a certain level because they don't give up the control. And then they complain about the fact that they can't get the next level, but the reason they can't get there is themselves. And now what you're transitioning that to is find the right people, teach them how to do it, take the time. And sometimes that takes a little bit of time, right? To get them up to speed and where you're comfortable, but that's okay because eventually it's not easy. It's not. If it's easy, everybody do it.
Exactly.
What's a closing note? What's a closing note before we jump off?
Closing note is I want everybody watching this to succeed and do amazing things in life.
Amen. Amen. I love it. I love it. Well, guys, when you want to find Kristin Jamieson, go over to Instagram, and it's Kristin Jamieson Mortgage, just like it sounds, Mortgage Team, sorry, just like it sounds. That's Kristin Jamieson Mortgage Team. And if you're viewing in, you can see it running right across the bottom of the screen. Go jot that down and make sure you follow her. And if you need something, if you have questions, how many states are we in? What all states do we do business in?
So right now I'm Kansas, Michigan, and Florida, adding Texas and North and South Carolina for next year. And then we'll see where it goes from there. But again, I don't want to be all things to all people.
Yeah. Amen. Amen. So, if you're in any of those states, and have questions, I'm sure Chris will get you in the right place if you're in a different state. We're not going to exclude you, but, to her point, we want to make sure that we're helping people in places that we specialize in. And that's what she's talking about. Right. So go find her on Instagram, follow her. And like I said, DM or comment if you need anything from her. She's going to be there, her team, and they respond very quickly, and almost to a flaw in a good way, right? Like you're going to hear from them fast. And then, go check her on the web at KristinJamiesonFL.com. I have a feeling that FL stands for Florida. That's KristinJamiesonFL.com. Go find her over there and look out, because you're going to have an amazing experience, right? You're going to have a great experience. And I know that. I've seen her reviews. I've seen the way her team works. It's insanely efficient. And man, just proud to have you here today. Proud to be able to call you friend, Kristin. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Having me.
Oh, no question. We're bringing her back. Trust me, she's going to come back. She may be starting a podcast. We'll look out for that. We've been talking about that too, sitting in the background. But guys, thank you so much for tuning in. As always, appreciate you. And man, we're going to keep bringing the heat. People like Kristin Jamieson, who are out there changing the world with great work ethic and just a fire inside of them that says we're
one loan at a time.
That's it. That's it. Now you're still on my line. I just said that on my last podcast.
I didn't even hear your podcast.
I know you didn't. I think it's a Kansas thing, y'all. You wouldn't get it. It's a Kansas thing. So, all right. Well, we will see you guys on the next one. Until then, have a great day. You've been watching Loan Officer Success Live, where real strategies meet real success. Don't forget to subscribe now and share it with your teammates, and keep leveling up, because your next breakthrough starts here. If this fired you up, don't just watch success, go out there and build it.